Hello, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. The more I get into what Germany did down in Antarctica, and the more we dig into this, the more mysterious it becomes. Germany had a lot of things going on in the Second World War towards the end of it. And there were things with UFOs, there were things with anti-gravity, there were other things. Their top scientists and top aviation admirals or generals wanted Hitler to take over instead of doing ground attacks, they're doing to control the air. Germany started losing the war. Now, I'm going to pause this and go to several videos. Hitler found in 1939 or before that there was a UFO-like instrument or object crashed in Germany that excited Hitler because of its ability to do some things that they had never before fully understood.
Wingless, disc-like and stronger than any man-made competition, it confounded all scientific analysis. Elite physicists from the SS technical branch were tasked with recreating the mystery aircraft.
This led into anti-gravity, it led into their bell, it led into psychic stuff going on, it led into a lot of other things. Now this anti-gravity stuff has been around for a long time. They showed these patents that were released by Google in last year, but they did that stuff after this anti-gravity. US and Germany were into that even before the Second World War ended. We'll see more of this later. They say they'd claimed patents in '72 on this stuff, but they were working on this 20 years earlier or more. And we'll talk about this later. This guy had some astonishing information that I haven't seen before. Astonishing because it deals with Admiral Byrd and what went on down there, BYRD. He had an unlimited budget and he got his butt kicked in less than a week.
And there they disappeared and they were not heard of for some time. Now, intelligence sources, and of course I was in the intelligence business at that time with the agency, reports indicated that they were in there and they were operative once again. Now, there was a major...
Now, he's talking about the Nazis. He's talking about these German U-boats, big ones. And they headed down to Antarctica at least in the mid-30s, if not later 30s. And had been there at least 10 years before we got there. At least. And they had people down there, they had scientists down there, they had military down there. They had a lot of things. But watch what this guy says.
Concerned by world powers to go in and capture the technology and the two spacecraft which they knew were in Antarctica.
Now, our intelligence knew that there were two spacecraft in Antarctica. That's what they claimed. We also knew that Hitler had been working with spacecraft and anti-gravity, but there was more to it.
And the intelligence reports indicated that one known as Admiral Byrd was to be recommissioned and he was to be sent in there to retrieve the two saucers and also the technology and personnel associated with it.
So they thought Admiral Byrd would be able to take this armada, part of it was British, part of it was Russia, part of it was us, and get this stuff back. He's going to get a real eye-opener, and he's going to find out that this technology is way above anything he's got.
Later reports indicated that Admiral Byrd was given 8 months and unlimited funding to go in and pull this thing successfully off. But we also know that within 8 weeks, he was totally defeated.
Less than 8 weeks. Part of the Navy documentary was a colored film.
Film in color, 1 hour long, made by the U.S. Navy. It was a massive naval operation that involved an aircraft carrier, several battleships, an armed submarine, and probably another 20 supply and battleships. It involved 4,000 troops, U.S. troops, and the rumor is that there were also British and Russian contingents.
4,000 troops, British and Russian contingents. And they think they're going to come in there and just take control of this. They're going to find out differently here.
In these 4,000 troops. It was a massive naval operation. It was not, as it has been presented to the public, that it was a peaceful expedition to explore the natural resources of the South Pole. They descended to Little America, which is the place of the...
Now we're going to go to another part here. This part here becomes very interesting.
Over the whole...
These are unsnowed areas, warm areas, open areas, open water, not frozen like we would think.
Area of the South Pole, trying to locate the German base that was established there almost 10 years earlier, the Germans.
There's a German base down there. They think they're going to discover that and control it and come in with physical might and control it. They're going to find out differently.
Started somewhere in 1936-37, seriously exploring the South Pole, and by the time the war ended, the rumor is that they have established a massive underground colony with at least 100,000 scientists, researchers.
A massive underground colony.
Researchers, elite SS troops, children from Hitler-Jugend, young boys and girls that were to become the seed of this new and colony that was to be built under the principles of the super race selection. What was it that Admiral Byrd found on the South Pole? Incredibly enough, in an official American Navy documentary film, we found footage of what Admiral Byrd found on the South Pole. He found giant freshwater, never freezing lakes with areas around them that were free of any snow. And in that film we show footage of the Navy planes landing in these lakes. But even more so, he found, to his amazement, that his planes were disappearing very quickly. A lot of his
planes were disappearing very quickly. Now, none of this stuff has got out. Now listen to this.
Were attacked by anti-gravity devices that were operated by the Germans there.
His planes were attacked by anti-gravity devices that the Germans were controlling.
Anti-gravity saucers. A lot of them
anti-gravity saucers
crashed into invisible barriers, and
they even had invisible barriers up.
Is integrated in mid-flight. This is an indication that the Germans had already perfected the force field shields, and
that the Germans had already developed a force field shield.
They were up and operational around the German colony at Neuschwabenland.
North Schwabenland. This field was around the colony.
Was retreating. Basically, the whole operation lasted for 1 week. They started at the end of February 47, and by the first week of March, they were through with the whole operation, and much earlier than scheduled, and they departed. And in an
so in less than 2 weeks, it was over. Admiral Byrd got his butt kicked.
Interview at Buenos Aires on his way back, Admiral Byrd made the incredible statement that the Third World War would probably be with an adversary coming from the polar regions of our planet, an adversary that has the ability to fly unobstructed from pole to pole. He was referring to the Germans at their South Polar colony at Neuschwabenland that were operating their anti-gravity craft with impunity and could fly circles around the globe, and of course would shoot out of the sky any of the attacking American planes.
Well, it just gets more and more crazy the more you study this and get into this. We know for a fact, and I don't have the videos here, but you can do the research, that shortly after this, the United Nations, the United States shut off Antarctica. I don't know what they did, but they did enough to capture the area without Admiral Byrd, and they did enough to take over Germany's forces down there. And no one has talked about how we did that. So that's a great mystery, but it happened, and it's closed off and is controlled by the military now, and only by a special invitation have they divided up Antarctica with the nations of this earth. And you can only go inland in Antarctica with special permissions, and that's all over the place. So again, how do we take Germany over if they kicked our butt with Admiral Byrd? No one knows. But somehow it was done. And these German troops were captured and controlled somehow. No one knows how it was done, but it was done. But Admiral Byrd, we know, did not do it. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billy Small Antenna. This, I'm going to show one other thing. This carrier shows the movie that it's a flying carrier, and it's got propellers on it. You can see these blades here, and it's a giant carrier. But with our anti-gravity devices that are now in control and have been in control of for at least 50 to 60 years, we don't need these carriers. We can actually lift a big, humongous carrier up into the higher atmosphere and land spaceships on it, and no one's the wiser for it. It's concealed, it's done. These massive ships, spaceships, are carriers-like, and they can take off from space and off these carriers and go into space, and the military can control these things. That's what's going on. But we're getting little peaks of this that are twisted with the movies and science fiction. But our massive carriers don't even need these fans anymore. See, it's outdated. This is all propaganda. Not needed. We've already got it. And this is from the movie Avengers. We've already got the carrier. People that are getting this stuff out, it says that we've had carriers, floating characters, and fortresses in space at least for 10 to 20 years. So I wouldn't doubt it. It makes perfect sense that we develop something like that. We've played around, and NASA's the front for the propaganda and our space station. But we went to the moon. We got surprises there. The live feeds are no longer done on the moon because we got surprises there. It's edited and changed before we hear about it. You can go to Google Moon and Google Mars, and these got all these blurred areas. You can go to Antarctica, and they got the blurred areas that are messed with. You can't even look at the moon with Google or Mars or Antarctica. They've got blurred or smudged areas that they don't want you to see. All this stuff is going on behind closed doors, and it's not open to the public in the least. Again, this is Roger Martin. This anti-gravity stuff really exists. These flying aircraft carriers really exist, and space programs that have been secret for decades, 20, 30 years, really exist. And the Navy and the Air Force both have their own versions. Navy's ahead of the Air Force. And we've been fighting planetary wars on Mars, on Saturn and other moons, and we've even been out of the solar system. I know this stuff sounds crazy, but the insiders are saying we've been out of the solar system. We've been fighting wars on Mars for at least 20 years. We've went far beyond the moon. The moon is hollow, according to many whistleblowers. There are stations inside the moon, which we and other people have, other aliens have, and we've been flying out of the moon as a space station in a hollow platform for a long time. A lot of this stuff is going on and is way past anything that has been revealed to us as a public. Getting to research on this is amazing stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but it's way beyond anything we know. I ask you, why do we play around with the space station when we went to the moon? Doesn't make any sense. We've had all these rovers and things to different planets, but no man flights. Doesn't make any sense. There's being a con job played by NASA, and then there's real stuff going on by the Navy and Air Force. You can bet on it. Just as they've hid the Blackbird for 2 decades or better, and now we have the Aurora series that they finally found out. This stuff is at least 50 to 75 to 100 years more advanced than our civilian stuff. And you're going to see more and more of this stuff come out in the future, eventually, as people reveal these things. Don't be surprised that the military is far beyond anything that has been revealed to the civilian public. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.